This week, I'm continuing my theme of preparing for summer by finally making some modifications to my truck camper. The camper works pretty well as is, but as seen in one of my previous videos, the leak has caused rainwater to turn into a moldy, rotting box of smells. However, there were a few more changes I wanted to make with these modifications. See, I built this camper very quickly without much planning because I had very limited time before I left for my trip out west. This led to multiple issues such as the bed structure being stuck inside without removing the camper shell, structure and hardware usage that would make a carpenter have a coronary, and this weird table thing with a gap in it. It's finally time to fix that. I saw help from my grandfather, who was previously featured in my Copper Mines documentary, and we got to work. The first thing that needed to be done was hinted at earlier, and that is removing the camper shell so we could access the structures inside. Removing the shell also allowed us to repair the seal that had broken loose, which caused the leaks in the first place. The shell is held on by these clamps that take roughly an eon to fully unscrew. Alright, so we've taken the clamps off from all four sides here, and we've taken the mattress off as well. So now we were trying to get the camper shell off. It's been on there for over a year, so the adhesive on the strips is probably locking it on there, but we're going to get that off. And yeah, we're going to lower this so I have more room, take this carpet out, and make it to where we can take this out without having to do all this nonsense. Ooh.
How about that?
There we go. There we go.
Never even touched your metal.
I knew asking you for help was the right move. But eventually we got the top off and the structure out. Removing the structure really put on display just how much the leak had affected my setup. After cleaning some of the mildew off the plywood, we got to work on allowing the removal of the structure without the removal of the shell. The quickest way we thought of to do this was to simply saw it in half and then use a brace held in with a few screws to hold it together. See, removing a few screws is much easier than removing the whole camper shell, and you don't need multiple people to do it. After that, we entered phase 2, which fittingly was twofold. We wanted to remove the water damage pieces and cut all the legs down to allow more room for sleeping. See, when I tried to build this thing in 15 minutes, I made it too tall, which led to very uncomfortable sleeping conditions, especially when it's freezing or below outside, and the mattress hardens, causing me to not be able to roll over. So, we shortened the legs and replaced the damaged ones with shorter legs as well. During the replacement, my construction hack job really came under the spotlight. Okay, so these right here are just an absolute nightmare. I mean, we got one under here. So our drills and screwdrivers have failed us, so we're gonna get a 1/4-inch ratchet to put the T25 in, just so we can have an angle to get this in here. Redneck ingenuity at its finest. After that conundrum, it was time to put it all back together and see if it fit. Miraculously, it did. And we also decided to do a little experiment by resealing the camper seal with caulk instead of replacing it to see if that would hold. I'll update you with the results of said experiments as I discover them. We also covered the counter with some old wood paneling. Another change we made was putting the bed extension on the floor instead of under the single bed to allow for more space. This was intended to be two folds as well, as I was going to put a fork mount on the bottom so I could put my bike in there and carry it around in there if needed to. But unfortunately, even without the front wheel, my bike was just simply too tall. Oh well. And with everything put back inside the camper, it was officially ready for adventuring. Now I can sleep in it without the feeling of sleeping in a coffin in a freezer. Thank you very much for watching, and be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for the trips I take in my newly outfitted camper this summer. I upload videos every Thursday or Friday, depending on when I get them done. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time.